Hello and welcome to my first documentary style video. Today we'll be going over and discussing the evolution of Metallica's sound throughout the years. If you go on to enjoy this video, then please go ahead and leave a like, comment what you think I should do next, and of course subscribe. So without any further ado, let's get straight into the video. Chapter 1. Kill 'Em All. Metallica were formed in 1981 by drummer Lars Ulrich and rhythm guitarist / vocalist James Hetfield. Ulrich and Hetfield always had a love for the heavier, more edgy types of music. At the time, nobody did it like Metallica. Of course, you had the likes of Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and Aerosmith, just to name a few, who are all legendary and iconic in their own right. In fact, it would be these bands that would inspire Metallica to pretty much come out of nowhere and absolutely blow the minds of kids, teenagers, and young adults alike at the time. But it has to be said, nobody captured the raw, thrashy, get the hell up and just let it all out energy that Metallica provided in their early days. They were angry, young and inspired, a recipe for inner peace that all metal fans and musicians alike can absolutely relate to. And this of course showed in their musical output, from songs such as Hit the Lights, Seek and Destroy, Metal Militia, to the Four Horsemen. Metallica meant business and would stop at nothing to ensure their voices were heard. And they were definitely heard, for miles. Metallica quickly garnered a reputation for an unrelenting and cathartic sound that would resonate with metalheads all over the world, and even transform those who were not yet aware of the metal rebellion into full-blown addicts. Metallica was a drug, and nobody could ever have enough of them. Chapter 2. Ride the Lightning. Riding high off the success of Kill 'Em All and the Kill 'Em All for One tour, Metallica began to hone their musical writing abilities, working their way up to becoming an absolute force to be reckoned with. In the winter months of early 1984, Metallica packed their gear and flew out to Denmark, Lars' home country, to begin work on their second studio album, Ride the Lightning. They used everything they had perfected with Kill 'Em All, and turn the dials right up to 11 in terms of the ferocity. Personal favourite album of mine, Ride the Lightning opens up with a thrashed fest that is Fight Fire with Fire, the fastest and most brutal song to date. Listeners in 1984 knew they were in for an absolute treat when they first heard those ferocious and unforgiving rhythm guitars, and it didn't end there. After Fight Fire with Fire, they go straight into the title track without as much as a minute to breathe, keeping the energy and raw power going throughout the entire album. Metallica had a formula, and that formula equaled destruction wherever and whatever they performed. They were absolutely unstoppable, and it seemed that nothing would stop them now. Chapter 3. Master of Puppets. Proving as a staple to the Metallica back catalogue and a personal favourite from many fans, Master of Puppets, released in 1986, catapulted Metallica right into the stratosphere. They were now worldwide and everyone knew who they were. Sticking with their tried and true signature formula of fast, loud and aggressive music, they deliver yet again with Master of Puppets. The opening track, Battery, held the same level of power that Fight Fire with Fire had for Ride the Lightning. As soon as listeners heard the track, they once again knew Metallica had delivered. The following and title track, Master of Puppets, is arguably the most iconic song, featuring phenomenal guitar work from James Hetfield, who initially wrote and played the riff on the D string as a joke, and a face-melting solo from Kirk Hammett. This was a song that solidified Metallica's legacy, and a song that will be played for generations to come. Of course, not all of 1986 was ridden high, as on the morning of 27th of September 1986, Metallica bassist Cliff Burton would tragically pass in a horrific coach accident. This was a major blow for Metallica, but they would not let this tragic passing stop them. Instead, they would focus all of that hurt, anger and anguish into their next studio album. Chapter 4. And Justice for All. Following the tragic passing of Cliff Burton, Metallica were on the lookout for a new bassist, and they found him in the form of Jason Newsted. The new lineup got back into the recording studio to start work on their fourth studio album, And Justice for All. Justice, which released on 25th of August 1988, was the definitive Metallica sound, becoming more raw, more aggressive, and overall chaotic than anything they had previously released. Cliff's passing is what would fuel them to make such an emotional, angry and cathartic album. This was the therapy Metallica needed after Cliff, and you can absolutely hear the anguish in every single word sung, guitar plucked and drum banged. Justice was their outlet, and the opening track Blackened reflected this. The opening riff and lyrical concept described how angry they were with the whole world. They lost a brother, and they couldn't come to terms with their loss. They even wrote a tribute song to Cliff in the form of To Live Is To Die, which will go down as Metallica's most emotional and heartbreaking instrumental song ever recorded. Every single ounce of emotion they felt following his death would be channeled into the album, and it can be felt nearly 40 years later. Rest in peace, Cliff Burton. Chapter 6, Load/Reload. In the summer of 1995, Metallica start work on their next two studio albums, Load and Reload. This was a major turning point for Metallica's sound. Opting to be more experimental this time round, they used a barrage of classical instruments to record their songs, with songs such as 2x4, King Nothing on Load, and Fuel, The Memory Remains, and Devil's Dance on Reload, essentially mimicking the Black Album, with King Nothing being a sequel of sorts to Enter Sandman. Fans were apprehensive that this, along with their new experimental sound, would be their new sound. Ultimately, they weren't wrong, because this would be the turning point for Metallica and would evolve to what fans call modern Metallica today. Not bad by any means, but certainly no Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, or And Justice for All. It holds its own. Chapter 7, Saint Anger. In April 2001, Metallica sit down yet again in the studio to start work on their 8th studio album, Saint Anger. Raw takes on a new meaning with this album, as each and every song is pure anger, much like the album name suggests. It's hard, angry, aggressive, and you can tell that Metallica put a lot of raw emotion into this album. With the opening track Frantic acting as a demo for things to come, Metallica's sound changes drastically, keeping the thrashy elements but ultimately producing a much less polished outcome, which, if you factor in the internal struggles at the time, really doesn't come as much as a surprise. It seems that's the way they wanted it to be, unapologetically raw with emotions seeping through every crevice, regarded as Metallica's worst album, is in fact far from it. Without Saint Anger, Metallica wouldn't exist today. It's the culmination of the band's internal struggles, substance abuse issues, and the aftermath of dealing with each other's inflated egos. Like it or not, Saint Anger was needed, and personally, I'm a huge fan. Chapter 8, Death Magnetic. After countless tours following the release of Saint Anger, Metallica finally get back into the studio to record their 9th studio album, Death Magnetic. This saw the band somewhat revert to their signature thrashy sound with songs such as That Was Just Your Life and All Nightmare Long. They had managed to successfully merge what made the Black Album great with what made the earlier albums so legendary: simplicity and thrashy goodness. This is modern Metallica at its finest, and it seems they found the perfect formula for what they wanted to do going forward. In songs like The End of the Line and Cyanide, this is most apparent. Absolutely top tier Metallica album, but nothing compared to their heyday. That was just another breed. Chapter 9, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Their first studio album in 8 years since the release of Death Magnetic, Metallica realised it's about time to finally record a new album, and the opening song Hardwired takes us straight back to the 80s, starting off with the fast gallops and thrashy nature. Although opting to primarily stick to simplicity, standouts such as Atlas Rise, Confusion, and Now That We're Dead takes us straight back to the Black Album days. This is essentially Death Magnetic 2.0, solidifying that modern Metallica sound that dedicated fans all over the world now accept as the new Metallica. Not bad for your mid-50s, lads. Chapter 10, 72 Seasons. And here we are today with 72 Seasons. Arguably relatively mid-album. Features some quality standouts such as Shadows Follow, You Must Burn, and Too Far Gone. Also, the longest original Metallica song to date, clocking in at 11 minutes and 10 seconds in a Marata. This album really doesn't stand up against the early albums, and even the likes of Death Magnetic. They essentially carried on with what they did in Hardwired and somehow managed to water it down slightly. The thrashy goodness is here in the form of the title tracks 72 Seasons and the shorter Homage to Their Past, Lux Eterna. But for me personally, it fell a little short of what I was expecting from them following the 2016 album Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Still relatively solid, just not what I was expecting. And that marks the end of the evolution of Metallica's sound. If you guys enjoyed this form of video, documentary style, that kind of thing, then please like and subscribe. It helps me more than you know. If you want to see more videos like this from me in the future, then make sure to let me know and I'll happily oblige. Thank you all very much for watching, and good day to you all.